Today we are hearing about Jeff Carreira's new book entitled The Path of Mythopoetic Awakening. What Jeff is calling mythopoetic awakening is the realization that our spiritual unfolding is a story we actively participate in authoring, and that this story itself is part of a much larger story of awakening that is writing itself into existence. He is seeing the unfolding of a co-authored awakening process dramatically revealed in his fiction. His primary purpose for writing this book is to provide a framework for using the written word and story as tools for practicing mythopoetic awakening in your own life. As a spiritual practice, mythopoetic awakening involves learning to shape your own story of awakening by selectively choosing which aspects of your experience you pay attention to, and then weaving those elements into a narrative that gives meaning to your spiritual growth. This narrative does not need to be written down, though Jeff has always found that helpful. What matters most is not merely describing the process of awakening, but living it. That means recognizing what you are perceiving as real and acting in alignment with it. At first glance, this can sound like pretending, and in a sense, it is. But this is also how we live our lives all the time. We continually select which parts of our experience to notice, and from those selections, we construct the story of who we are and what our life means. As long as we attend to roughly the same things as the people around us and interpret them in familiar ways, our story is accepted without question, and therefore we feel comfortable believing that it reflects something we call reality. The difficulty arises when we begin paying attention to dimensions of experience that most people overlook and start making meaning in ways that do not agree with the shared agreements of our consensus reality. At that point, the story we are living no longer fits comfortably within the dominant narrative. Few people will readily accept it, and one of the thresholds we need to cross in order to practice mythopoetic awakening is being willing to travel where few dare to go. To practice mythopoetic awakening is to allow the creative act to overwhelm your habitual sense of limitation. In doing so, you begin to discover that a higher being is revealing itself through your creative endeavors. You are not placing this into your art as much as you are recognizing that it was already there. You believed you were doing one thing, and now you see that you are also doing something else. Or rather, something else was at work through you. This helps explain why so many great artists struggle to take sole responsibility for their work. Yes, they created it, or at least served as the instrument for its creation. But they often sense that something beyond them was also at work. Creativity, at its deepest level, does not feel like ownership as much as it feels like participation. This co-creative process has always been at the heart of art. What makes the mythopoetics Jeff is describing a spiritual practice, however, is that the aim is not simply the creation of great art. The deeper purpose of the creative endeavor is to illuminate the reality of a higher being that is awakening to its own existence at the very same time that we are awakening to its presence within us.